This is Nick Montgomery from Limited Release Podcast. Here sitting with Jill Gollick from RUBY SKYE PI.
Hello.
One of my favorite shows.
I pay him to say that.
Anyways, I'm definitely showing this off though. So I've got some love for RUBY SKYE, so it's all good. We hugged. It's great.
This is our new USB wristband bracelet. It's a 4 gig wristband, 4 gig USB flash drive, and a wristband.
Cool. All right. Oh. And what's on it?
The first season of RUBY SKYE PI is a mystery called the Spam Scam.
Well, tell me a little bit about what's the synopsis for RUBY SKYE?
RUBY SKYE is a digital detective series. It's about a teenage detective who is kind of obsessive and unstoppable and puts her nose where it doesn't belong and gets herself in a lot of trouble, and the people around her, her friends, but eventually solves the crime. And so that's the premise.
And now you come from a bit of a background of television yourself. Can you tell me a little bit about the differences between, going from TV to the web?
Okay. So I've written and produced television for 20 odd years, and I guess the thing that appeals to me about the web is that you're much closer to the audience and you have a two-way kind of communication with the audience. When I wrote television, the people who you collaborate with, or the people who you have contact with while you're writing and producing it, are the other writers, the producers, the broadcasters, the actors. You never have any relationship with the audience, even though ultimately what you're doing is telling them a story. But by the time the show is produced and gets on the air, you're probably on some other show. And so you never are sort of in the same dimension as your audience. And the first thing that happens when you go on the web is like your closest relationship are with the people who are watching it, and they're your closest collaborators. They're telling you what they like, what they don't like. And so as a writer, as a storyteller, that's incredibly appealing and really fun.
Wow. So now that season 1 has had some time to get around and get a good reception going, what's in the works right now for possible season 2?
Okay, so season 2, we shot it the last 2 weeks of May. So we're in editing. It's called The Haunted Library. And in season 2, Ruby and her sister Haley and her nemesis Diana are all back, along with Griffin. The mystery centers in a library where there are reports of a ghost and some very strange happenings. And there's also a will to be found. And so it will be similar to season 1 in length, but we are planning to have a kind of interactive clue where when Ruby finds a clue in the video portion of it, it will appear on the website, and then you can solve it at home before Ruby sort of reveals what the solution is in the next episode.
Very cool. So it gets a little bit interactive then.
It gets a little interactive, and we're also building a bunch of websites as well. So the show is set in this haunted library, which is the fictional O'Deary Library, played in the show by the Emmanuel Library at the U of T, which is about a century-old, gorgeous, spooky library. Anyway, so we're building the website for the O'Deary Library and a few other sites that sort of round out the world and give people other stuff to explore and experience.
Very cool. Now, and the way that season 1 left off did kind of hint at what the storyline of season 2 could be with the haunted library, and it could get a little bit supernatural. It sounded to me very Scooby-Doo-ish, that kind of story where they're going to delve into the supernatural a bit. Can you talk a bit about any kind of inspiration that may have that goes into writing RUBY SKYE? What you draw on from any past stories or?
Well, it's not Scooby-Doo because I've never really watched a lot of Scooby-Doo. A little bit, but not a lot. I guess in terms of the haunted library itself, like when I was a kid, I spent a lot of time in libraries. A lot of times I used to wander around and just read books at random off shelves. And it was just, to me, the library was a really very cool place with a lot of mystery in it. There were, there were the stacks you could go into in different sections. There were always people there that you could watch. It seemed to be a world of worlds, if you will, And so that was sort of the inspiration for doing the haunted library, was to get back into this cool space. We went library scouting, where we went to about 14, 15 different libraries in the city of Toronto. And it was a very fun thing to do, because libraries are cool. Libraries are cool places. And the other thing I learned going to all those libraries was they're busy. Like, you couldn't get a seat in one of these libraries. Even at 11 o'clock in the morning, they were jammed with people. So it was interesting to see. I was surprised.
Cool. All right. Well, we're looking forward to season 2. And now that you're in post-production, what do you think we could be looking at release date?
Well, I would say the word haunted kind of suggests Halloween. So look for rollout in October with maybe our spookiest episode coming at the week of Halloween.
Awesome. Cool. And where should people go to look for Ruby Sky?
Well, RubySkyPI.com and wherever fine video is shared.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Jill. I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Check it out, RubySkyPI.com. Good. Peace.
Okay.
That's why I wanted that thing, so you can bonk me on the head.
No, because I don't want to cough.
That's okay. All right.
But you know what? It was funny because I went to listen to Limited Release recently, and that was the first one on my iPod, and I was like, oh no, because it hurt me terribly. No, it's okay.
Like a badness, see?
I feel like
Your words have power. I told you that.
This is how I feel when you run over an animal. You feel awful. Like, I don't want to feel that. No. I gotta set the record straight for this. I did a follow up in the next episode because I got some backlash from it. I was like, no. I gotta, like, that was just my critique of the show. It's not a bad show, and it's not that I don't like it. And to be honest, I did a very bad thing for when we recorded that. I was in a bad mood, and going into it, and I let that get a hold of me. So that was my fault.
Just keep talking because I'm recording.